Hey guys, what's going on? Vega here from SerpentX Special Forces, and in this video we're going to be going over the MadMax Chia plotter. I know many content creators already covered this topic and this particular software that a user took out of their own time to create for the community, so make sure you thank them by checking out the links in the description below. However, I do want to share my experience with you. First off, the original MadMax creator is not the same one that created for Windows, and we're going to be focusing on the Windows version. However, you can see here that they have a number of donation addresses in which you can donate to, again, because they're taking time out of their lives to create this software application, whatever it may be. That's why I really love GitHub. Now, if we scroll down towards the bottom here, you can see the various operating systems supported, and we're going to need the Windows one. Now, the Windows one was created by this individual right here. And if we click it, we can go ahead and download the assets that we need. It's going to be a zipped folder that you're going to need to extract. When you extract it, you're going to get these files. Let me show you the main files. So this right here, the README, plot with log, plot without log, and then this exe file. What I would recommend doing is go through the README file first and look at the various parameters. However, let me show you what this setup looks like. So, I like to use the log one, but we're just going to use this one for starters. Actually, let's go ahead and use the log one. So there's a lot of stuff in here, and we need to go over these variables, which we will in just a second. But first things first, there's two things that you're going to need to get, and I'm going to show you how to get it right now, but I'm going to have to blur it out for my own protection. There's a public pool key and a public farm key. How do you get that stuff? Well, go ahead, hit the Windows key or go to Start, type in CMD, and open a command prompt. Leave that command prompt open, but then you're going to need to go to a specific directory, actually, the Chia blockchain directly, which for some users, you may not see it, but for most of us, we always show hidden items. And to do that on Windows, in this folder, you go to View at the top, and then you check Hidden Items. But you need to go to this directory right here. It's going to be whatever your Windows main drive is, users, your username, so don't copy mine, replace it with yours, app data, local, Chia blockchain, app, and then the app version, because you may be seeing this in the future and we may be up to 1.18, whatever it may be. Resources, app.asar, unpacked, and then daemon. You're gonna have to scroll down and look for chia.exe, okay? So as we scroll down, there it is, and you can just literally drag and drop that onto the command prompt. But basically, you just need that application and directory. Now, if I hit enter right now, it's not going to do anything but show us the other variables or commands that we can use. And the command that we need here is keys right here. So if I hit up, it's going to bring my previous command that I typed in, space keys, hit enter, and it's going to give us additional options. In this case, we want to do show. So I'm going to hit up again. It's going to carry over that directory application, space keys. Now we're going to do space show. And I'll have the GitHub and the commands down below in the description. So right here is the farmer public key, which we're going to put right here after -F. That's what that's for. The next one is the pool public key, not the master public key, but the pool public key. And you're going to put that right here after -P. Once you have that information in there, the rest of it is just command arguments that you're going to need to optimize or update for your specific system. For example, -T, and let me grab the README file real quick. -T is the first temporary directory. There is a temp2, but you won't be able to utilize it unless you have 110 gigabytes of memory or more. It's like a RAM disk. So I wouldn't really bother with that. Just focus on -T and putting that wherever you want. You know, your C drive, D drive, whatever the letter is that's assigned for your main write drive that you're going to be plotting with. Of course, there's the folder name that you need to include, but do not have any spaces in it. So if you have chia space temp, remove the space if you can rename it and it's not in use, like that folder's not in use, because when you rename something in that folder or file's in use because Chia is using it, you can't change it. So maybe create a new one real quick and just take away the spaces. Same thing for the final. -D is the final directory that in which those plots will coincide or go to. Just make sure that the letter matches correctly. In my case, it would be D for me, and then the temp drive would be M. But again, it depends on your system. Before this, we have -U. -U is actually the number of buckets. Now, if you remember in the Chia GUI/wallet, the default was 128. However, in this one is 256. Now, I did do some testing between 256 and 128. And honestly, I would just leave it 256. Just leave it alone. But the threads is something that I want you to know more about. Just from my experience, -R does represent the threads. But from my experience, I have an RX 5900X. It's a 12-core, 24-thread CPU. They say it's the number of threads, but to me, realistically, it's the number of physical cores your CPU has. So instead of doing 16, I would do 12. Instead of, for example, if you have a 6-core, 12-thread CPU, I would do 6. And you will notice that even with half that number in Task Manager, your CPU will be maxed out. And then -N is the number of plots in which you want to create. Now, these plots won't go off at the same time, in parallel, but they will go on one after the other. I know that seems inefficient, but watch how fast this thing gets done. Now, there are some things I want to mention about my experience. First things first, here's some data for you, and I'll walk you through this. On the original wallet, to create one plot, and I tested multiple drives, to create one plot and complete copy took anywhere from 4.5 to 5.5 hours for one plot at 4 threads, 4,000 mem. However, with MadMax, I created, and I'm going to start from the beginning here, 4 plots, all started at 9 a.m. I was done by 11:15 a.m. That's quick. I utilized 12 threads. I left the buckets at 256 or default, and I was able to complete one plot in 40 minutes. Now, it actually got better as we continued to test, but I went ahead and tested 4 threads like I normally did in the Chia GUI, and it actually almost took an hour to create one plot. 56 minutes to complete plot and copy. That's what this 40 minutes right here stands for. It's to complete the plot and copy. On average, my system is getting around 30 to 32 minutes per plot to be created, and an additional 8 to 10 minutes to move it. Now, one thing I did notice is in the Chia wallet, I can actually plot over the network, but in MadMax, I can't. I probably need to do something like do a network path, assign that network path, a drive letter and stuff like that. That's neither here or there. If you just copy it locally, or if you plot and then put it locally, you can just move it over later, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm moving over 2.7 terabytes of plots over to the NAS right now. And on average, it took me about 32 minutes to complete plots, then another 8 minutes to copy the final drive. The math says that's 45 plots in a day if I ran 24/7. With my small farm, and when it's done, it will be 100 terabytes total, which would be 980 plots. And that would take me up to 21.7 days to fill all the drives that I'm looking to get. But something else I want to share with you is, during the process of plotting and testing, I had a serious system crash. Because I mined with my RX 6800 while plotting, the GPU is literally right there next to the Micron 7300 Pro, which is a enterprise NVMe drive, has great endurance, 4.2 petabytes. I think the heat of that GPU mining started to affect the NVMe drive. Because if we look right now, in the plots that I did this morning, The Micron drive had a max temperature of only 60 or 62. During the mining slash plotting situation, and it was during the hot day or peak hot day, it hit 68C. My Western Digital hit 74C. And the other NVMe drives, again, will get really warm. So you want to keep an eye on the thermals of your drives. Additionally, MadMax, or the developers for MadMax, do mention to kind of spread the wear out evenly amongst your drives. Don't do it all. But on my Micron 7300 Pro with 4.2 petabytes endurance, it doesn't really matter. Another thing I bumped into is during the plotting phase, even when I didn't have my miner going, sometimes the window would lock up and then close. What that is it crashed, but I want you to know something. Just because it crashed doesn't mean that you didn't use the write cycles on your drive. You still wrote those plots. It didn't complete, but you're still taking up write cycles, or you're eating into the endurance of your drive. So if it crashes, you're going to have to go to the temporary folder in which you selected. You're going to have to delete those out and then start again. And that does wear, if you keep crashing during the plotting process, that will wear down your drives. So be mindful of that. Additionally, the reason why I was crashing was two things: my memory overclock and my CPU overclock. So if you have a decent memory overclock and CPU overclock, I would tune it down. I actually had turned my 5900X back to stock clocks. I had to take my memory, which is the Ballistics 4400 megahertz Ballistic Max, from 4400 megahertz to 4000. That still kind of went iffy. It was working fine, but then it started giving me issues. So I brought it back down to 3800. I'm still doing some testing and fine tuning, but I just wanted to share that with you. Take down or turn down your overclocks. Additionally, I turned down the Infinity Fabric from 1900 to 1800. But for an Intel CPU, you won't need to worry about that. I would just leave things at stock settings on the CPU, load your base XMP profile for your memory, and you should be good. But if you have that window start to go and then crash, you need to make some adjustments to your hardware. Use the one with the log files so you can actually see what's going on, and that will help you kind of gauge what you need to adjust or maybe check into. But that's pretty much it for me today. I just wanted to share that information with you. I hope it's useful. Again, there's a lot of good content creators out there that's made great videos about MadMax Plotter. I will have additional storage or videos because I have more storage that I need to add, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to add it, what I got, and some of the hardware pieces that I got to increase the capacity of my NAS. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. Please do me a favor on the way out. Hit the like button. Subscribe for additional content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. As well, check out links down in the description that help out the channel, like TheDogeLord.com, where you can get merchandise from the Serpent X collection, Red Panda Mining, Not Your Normal Miner, Crypto Mikkel, and much more. You guys take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next one.